We are live, and welcome to the Kobk Killed podcast. What's going on up there, George?
Same shit,
Yes.
Actually, no. I got to tell you. So today, I received an order of fit swords. Now I don't know if you've seen these fit sword things out of Italy, and they're the ones that I got are like 5.6 pounds each. They're like little dumbbells at the bottom with like these fucking foam handles, and they're a blast.
Oh, fit swords.
Fit
Oh, okay.
sword. Yes. What'd you think I said?
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
So what has happened is the whole COVID lockdown has got me buying all kinds of crazy crap, and that was my newest thing today.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. So shit's been nuts, man. Keyboard bothering me. Yeah, just some bizarre things. I don't know. Again, we'll get to our stuff, but I don't know if you're aware of what is going on between China and Australia.
No, I haven't really been.
So we get our backpacks. They're made over there like everybody else's. And talking to my guy over there, and he said that China is experiencing rolling blackouts because there's a coal shortage. And April's here. Hey, April, good to see you.
Hey, April.
Now, we made a mistake. We were going to try to put this out to the our whole list of about 50,000-60,000. That didn't go out. So good. Hey, Tom is on. Good to see you, Tom. So anyway, so whatever, we're rolling. So anyway, he's telling me that there's rolling blackouts in China, and that's due to the coal shortage in that's going on with Australia. First they bumped the price up. Now they're just not sending it to him.
Okay.
He thinks that they're going to be going to war, China and Australia.
Jesus.
Which I think is, that's he was very, he thought it was, very real. If you think back to World War II and the oil embargo on Japan, that kind of started something too. Anyway, a lot to get to. Do you guys hear anything about what happened? Not that, and I'm curious because you're up in Canada, like the stuff that happened with the with John Gruden, the coach of the Las Vegas Raiders football team.
No. The only coach that I had heard about was the one from the Jaguars, and he got himself in trouble for something that was going on.
Yes. That again is in the home. So figure this out, right? So you've got there's no consistency with any of this. So you have the Me Too movement, which is kind of like killed itself out. Again, I thought who wouldn't agree with that, but then it was kind of like the whole guilty before proven innocent kind of thing, and there's no due process involved, and and I think it's again like a lot of these things they eat themselves, and they wind up turning on each other because it's just there's no standard or reason behind it. It's just reactionary to whatever happened, right?
Yeah.
So this guy, he goes and he's like messing around with a girl on camera, right? So he's got a wife. He's got the team is 0-5 now, so. He's a college coach, and not to get into it because it's really not a sports thing, but given my background in it, so you're a college coach. It's easy to go recruit talent because the talent is so spread out at that level that if you're a good recruiter, all you really have to be is a manager, right? So. Anyway, and you can get away with a lot, and a lot gets covered up at the university level. I mean, there's two things that these guys did. One was that he blew off the plane ride back, which is something you just don't do. And then two, he hung out and decided to do some inappropriate things with a young lady who was not his wife. And then the other thing what happened with Gruden, the guy from the Raiders in Vegas, was that 11 years ago, he sent several emails to someone he was friends with, who was a general manager, I believe, of the Washington football team, then the Redskins. At the time, he was not employed by the NFL. At the time, he was working for ESPN. So they're doing some investigation of the Washington football team and their inappropriate conduct, and 650,000 emails were discovered. And he used terms like faggot, pussy, and said some derogatory things about the head of the Players Association's lips being, who was black. I mean, look, these were just completely inappropriate things. And maybe, again, definitely someone as a coach, in a position of power at the time, he was a commentator, probably should have gotten, if those things came to light, probably would have gotten let go by ESPN. But now we're looking at it like almost pretty much a decade later of when these things were sent.
Mm-hmm.
And when he wasn't employed by the NFL, he wasn't employed by the radio organization, and winds up getting fired or having to resign. Didn't break any law. Again, in poor taste. These are not things we say now. I mean, these are definitely not things we say over email. I mean, it's just something that's not done, but winds up having to resign. So, it's just a strange world. And you look at what's going on with Chappelle. I don't know if you saw the Netflix special, and now it's like, and then you've got what happened with this guy Smith down in Virginia, whose daughter was raped by a kid claiming, so they went to transgender or, bathrooms.
Okay.
So basically, if you identify as a woman, you can go into the girls' room.
Yeah.
The guy who occasionally likes to wear skirts, who claims he's bi, wind up going into the ladies' room and girls' room, and allegedly raping a 15-year-old girl, like sodomized her, like awful shit.
Yeah.
Again, don't know the exact details of it, but the kid was going to plead guilty to this, and and then it was going to get knocked down to something else. Long story short, dad freaking out, goes to the school board meeting and decides, wants to share his experience based on the kid used the ability to go into the girls' room as a guy to gain access to his daughter and privacy and rape her. So, there's a lot of things surrounding it, but at the end of the day, this guy loses his shit in the board, at the school board meeting. Police come and arrest him, and that's it. So now, the process, it's nuts because you've got, now they're calling him a terrorist, the dad, a domestic terrorist. Meanwhile, the kid who
Right.
raped his daughter also sexually assaulted another girl in an empty classroom. So the kid is, the perpetrator is clearly a predator.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, choosing these victims. We're talking about minors here, but at the end of the day, you've got, some really, it's like any dissenting voice against any of these people, you're automatically viewed as a threat. Like,
Yeah.
We have an argument, we disagree, even if I'm, passionate about it, even if I'm yelling, that all of a sudden they want to get the FBI in, they want to get, they want to, label these people as, as terrorists, which is nuts. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm glad my kids are older. My kids are, exploring their ideas as they should.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to, question things that we say, question things that they hear and reflect against common sense.
Yeah.
So it's really, but it's very difficult to do that. And it seems to be that you're only being allowed to do that if you think a certain way.
Yes.
So, man, I never thought, and I mean, did I think generations before me, like my parents and their parents, did they think this shit? Yeah, I think they probably thought this way too. Um, I'm not going to say that we shouldn't be sensitive to people. We should, always trying to empathize and put the human element on what people are going through. And while I don't feel, there should be a restriction on any language whatsoever, but words have power. And when you use them, if you're using the term faggot, there are people who've been bullied and abused, by that term. And, us growing up using it as, somewhat innocuous, like you would, just kind of just be like, hey, faggot, stop it, stop messing around and do that.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't be, it shouldn't be, everything's got to be taken in context and intent. And that's what I think is lost here. So, I mean, this is the world we're living in.
We are living in a world where now, I don't know if you've been following, but now Superman is now bisexual.
He is bisexual. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I always thought he kind of was.
Come on, growing up, he was all about
the tights, dude.
The tights.
Very neat, very clean, very organized.
Of all superheroes to go that way, I mean, I'm glad it was him, right?
Aquaman, definitely suspect. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just think, Batman and Robin, definitely.
Yeah, maybe.
Come on, you don't get the nickname the Boy Wonder.
That is true.
without doing, special things with you.
I'm never going to look at any of these the same again.
You can't. I know Tim Burton April's funny. She had a crush on a gay guy. Yeah, April. Most people do. I mean, they're nice. They're very, they're thoughtful. I mean, they have all the good things that I would imagine a woman would want.
Yeah.
And especially after a certain amount of time, probably, everything a woman would want.
That's right.
So yeah, man. I mean, it would be so much easier. Yeah. Yeah, it really would. Really, we have so much more in common. So,
oh Jesus.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
Just turn over this football game right after. I know.
Yeah, I mean, you think about how they all dress. I mean, it's definitely some homoerotic thing happening in the superhero universe. I mean, who dresses like that and walks around?
Jesus.
Right.
Oh, that's funny.
Very, I mean, yeah. So anyway, on that note, you pulled up some interesting, I mean, the topic is going to be women's self-defense, and I've got some other stuff that I want to do at the end, but we'll see what the tenor is, because I don't know if I want to bring the podcast down today. But
how
anyway,
can you bring it down any lower than what we just did?
No. But it would force me to be somewhat, serious. But let's take a look at. So you're pulling this thing up, and you found this guy, and he is, yeah.
It hurts. It hurt to watch.
Yeah, man. I got to start with this one. What if someone touches your boobs?
Because this is what we do. This is how we attack.
Right. So is this, are you able to see this?
Oh yeah, we're able to see this. So this
okay,
is
good.
A very interesting couple here that seem to specialize in women's self-defense.
Right. So, I think it's just an excuse that this guy can grab her. And so again, let's take a look at what the problem is here. Typical self-defense, they're concentrating on the attack. In reality, if someone were to walk up randomly and grab your boob, they're not gonna. You should automatically just destroy them.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are you doing? Pushing the hand? Just attack. Now she's like doing a thigh kick, which really isn't going to do anything. You understand, like leg kicks and things like that. While you can give somebody a Charlie horse. I meant to wear someone down over the course of a fight. It's not a fight ender. And given this guy looks like a pretty big guy, he's pretty thick. That ain't gonna work on him. So essentially, all she did was slap him, which again, I'm not saying no, but you probably just should have just slapped him and attacked him in the face and then just ran away.
Yeah. But that kick and her balance in those shoes, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, right. And she doesn't even turn her foot on the floor. So she doesn't really get her hip into her technique, which means she's really not hitting him that hard. And given the size, this is typical, okay, hand, and then I'm going to know he's going to come in and slap me slowly. And then, So, and then that slap, it's like, lead with the slap.
Well, that's it, right? I have never seen the boob grab into the slap, but I mean, hey,
Right. We just got this, this kung fu nonsense where it's like, I'm just going to get back to, this is the offending appendage and you're going to attack him to block it. It's a measured response to an assault. And the fact of the matter is you can't have a measured response. Your response should be like, get your fucking hands off me. I'm going to, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
And go. And then the more violent you react, the more respect your attacker is going to give what you're doing. And it is shown that, look, like we say, he doesn't, the three things he doesn't want to get, caught, identified, or injured. He's not expecting you. Again, I don't know who does this and doesn't, I don't know. Again, the context of this attack is bizarre. I mean, maybe it happens in like middle school. You know what I mean? I don't know who attacked, what woman is walking around and some guy just randomly grabbing her breast, and she's that's, the guy's obviously mentally ill, right? They just grab booby,
That's right. It's a zombie attack for the boobs. That's right.
It just grabs the yeah. So this is the thing that people are worried about.
I did like his walk away though. Did you see the fucking limp as he's going?
Hey man, right. If someone tries to touch your boob, you probably shouldn't go to the dance with them.
Oh.
And then, so this is, all right. Yeah, this is one I liked. The purse grab. This
couple is great. They're
good, man. Someone tries to steal your handbag. All right, here we go. Okay, first, I guess she's going shopping. So the slap, okay. I mean, kicking him in the body, really not. I mean, look at the size of that dude.
Yeah.
So
look at how calm he is. He's just nicely, slowly walking up, just going over to take the fucking handbag.
Right. And she puts it on and goes back to shopping.
Yeah.
That's like, again, she's got nothing in her cart, so I'm imagining she's going into the store, and she's thinking that ends the fight. So the guy comes in. So if guy comes and grabs your bag, he's either gonna. I mean, does he drop it after the slap? I don't know. One can only speculate. But. The slap, yeah, okay. And then she's waiting for him to do what?
He was running back in for the boobs this time.
Right. Right. I mean, this is like typical, dojo stuff. This is like imagining what we would do and then how we would defend against it. And I mean, as we talked about in our training, hitting the body is very, very low percentage. She turned her foot on the floor that time, though. That was a good kick.
That was much better.
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And then she bang. I mean, yeah, okay. But again, this whole, it's like grab your bag, get the hell out of there.
Yeah. And
right?
I'm thinking this thick dude probably ain't gonna go down that fast from it.
No, but let's just assume like everything works. Okay, so let's see, slaps him, she backs off, and she drills him with a sidekick in the solar plexus. It could happen. Again, big guy, chances of possible, right? I'm not going to say no, but you're looking at everything else that's around it. I'm not even dismissing. Okay, so you're preoccupied and distracted. That's what happens when you're in your world and people get into your personal space. So it's this part, which is the stupidity.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like the arrogance of martial arts, is that you think like, like it's some dumb chopsaki movie. Can I even say that anymore? But, where it's like, okay, I defeated the bad guy and I'm just going to dust it off and like go about my business.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's real panic there. Why aren't you freaking like punting his head and then grabbing your bag and then going, or just leaving your bag? Who gives a shit? I don't know what you got. If you got something in it that's important, okay, fine.
Yeah, zero follow up with this, and I mean, he could have. Well, you can see him starting to get back up. I mean, obviously, get back up because she didn't fucking hit him that hard. But the point is, if somebody starts getting back up, that man ain't down. You keep going till the fucking man's down, then you can, escape.
Right. And again, yeah. When you look at these things, you got to look at beyond the technique, and you have to look at, how it starts, what exactly, is getting accomplished, and then how they finish. I mean, the finish of turning your back on somebody who just tried to assault you and steal your handbag is just, what the hell? They looked at that. Everyone who was involved in posting this thing looked at it and said, okay, that's good. Yeah, that's what we want. We're going to go ahead with that.
Yeah.
And that should be a red flag as to what they got going on.
And for those who are watching who are grammar police, we didn't do this TikTok video, so no, we're not steal. See, steal, STEEL. We are not stealing.
maybe there's metal in there.
That's right. That's what...
Oh no. So I didn't even pay attention to that.
Oh yeah. I guess I'm one of those grammar police. So I noticed it.
Yes. Someone tries. Yeah. Now they pour molten metal in it.
Yeah. The grammar is good as the defense.
Yes. Yes. But again, these are like people who are out there like charging money for this shit or trying to, and they're going around as experts. And yeah. So yeah. This is what we're up against, kids.
Yep. Teaching this is what's out there for women.
Yeah. I mean, and again, there's certain things like, yeah, okay, a slap is a slap and a punch is a punch, and we're good with that. But shit, everything around it, again, you're it's setting an expectation of what happens with actual violence. Okay. Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
That reminds. Speaking of, let's go back to Batman. Wasn't it the old Batman that had the boom, pow, bang, all that?
So this is like oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So this is a Taekwondo, school. So someone like smacks you, pimp slaps you, and you're gonna stand there and and like that's gonna how can I?
It's hurting, isn't it?
My head is gonna explode. Okay, so let me just start. 1, someone hits you, and you're gonna stand up, and then expect them to hit you again. 1, 2. If you have a chance to escape, you have to escape. Look at the size of her. Look at the size of him.
Yeah.
1, 2. This technique, again, he's not grabbing you. You should be not moving back. You should be getting the hell out of the way. And this is all sparring shit. So even if this is a reset, of the slap, and you, instead of saying, okay, don't get, if they said instead do this, like it starts at the slap, let's ignore and give them the benefit of the doubt that the slap didn't happen before, right? So they're just showing the technique, and then they're showing it, okay, this is what you do if it happens. One, you may be able to see that, one, but understand, we assume that initial attack is just this part of a series of attacks. So if a guy wants to hit you and he misses you, he's going to keep trying to hit you, which means he's going to be moving into you and taking ground. So where he is not where he's going to be when you decide to do something. One. Two, kicking. We do not kick above the knee or above the groin at all. One, you can slip and lose your balance, first and foremost. Two, most of the time you're going to be using your feet to stay on your feet and to move around. I mean, essentially, if somebody is assaulting you or tries to assault you, you try to escape. Try to escape. I mean, staying here and thinking that this is how this is going to be isn't how it's going to go. And, hitting somebody as hard as you can in the head, and getting to effect a knockout, is very difficult. Very difficult. Again, what if it's, like we said, what if it's icy? Right? What if there's a change in elevation? Again, he's going to be moving. I mean, the basis of this attack is just not realistic, because no one that doesn't connect isn't going to
just stand there and take
stand there.
Yeah.
Right. And now getting back to what we're seeing is actually the full confrontation, where a guy comes in, hits you, right, and makes the mistake of not following up. You should be getting the hell out of there. Then also, the kick takes longer than than doing something with your hand. And even if you're trained, an overhand right is a lot faster than a full leg round kick.
I mean, kudos to her for making the kick look good.
No, she's good. I mean, she's a martial artist, dude. I mean, yeah, for sure. No, that's a good kick. But again, that's a sparring technique. That's not a real world technique. Yeah. Again, you're also assuming that every strike you make affects a knockout, which, you gotta train in multiple sets of technique as hard as you can. So even if you did the kick, you should be following up with hands. If this is the path you're taking, that's, you're sitting there training. How many times I've thrown a technique in the real world and it hasn't knocked somebody out in the first time? A lot.
Yeah.
How many times in the ring that's happened to me? All the time. So, to sit there and be like, yeah, every kick I do, and I'm going to venture to guess if they are doing, Taekwondo or, basically dojo karate, they're pulling all these techniques and they're sparring. Because even if she's, chambering the kick, and she's even where she puts her, let's see where she puts her foot down. And it's a big dude. Here. Yeah, she's not even following through on it. So, you got your whole hip, your whole body into it. So yeah, this again is just strip mall dojo shit. That just doesn't work. Now it's not saying it can't work. I mean, a punch, a kick is a kick. But the reality is, I'm like, you've got to train in multiple combinations, at least 3 to 5 of just, taking ground, moving in as soon as you're assaulted in non-specific techniques. Yeah, I mean, moving out of the way if you happen to see it, fine. But again, if you can, like we say, establish distance where he's got to step in order to shift his weight, because right now they're right there, they're standing. You show. Let's go back to it again. They're standing toe to toe, right? So she's got a problem. Somebody's in your space, right there. It's too close. It's too close. So clearly, from the beginning, you're already letting them into your space. So you should be far enough away where they have to touch you. They've got to shift your weight. And it's that shift in weight that you react. Again, here, you push them off. Unless why are you engaging with this person?
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. It's just like you're really not thinking about, how things happen and why they happen. And, we take things out of context of reality. Yeah. So, anything else you want to upset me with?
I don't have anything else to upset you with. Do you have anything that's got you upset?
Yeah. I don't know if you heard about. So there was another school shooting in Texas.
I heard something about this, and then I heard something about Squid Games, and I don't know if there's some kind of correlation between the two, but
I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
So what we have is kid, 15 years old. He was. Can you see that? See that?
Yeah,
can you see
that.
any of that? All right, good. All right, just want to make sure I can. Shot 4. He's 15 years old. There was a lot going on obviously with this kid. He lived. His parents weren't involved. He lived with his grandmother. Broad strokes. He came to school, got into a fight with another kid, and shot him with a .45, and shot 3 other people, and was released after posting $75,000 bail, which comes out to be they had to put up $7,500 because you have to put up 10% of what your bail is. So there was a teacher. So there was the kid who was fighting with a teacher and 2 other students. I think they were, just in the area of the fight. I mean, now if you look, they, it's all very vanilla. I don't know what the laws are in Texas. I just want to hold on, stop screen. I'm going to share another screen. But kid 15, I know what everyone's going to say. Oh, he's a black kid, didn't get a bit. I really don't even want to talk about race in this because I don't want to feed into it. But here are just some of the bullet points that this article pulled out. So he lives with his grandmother in Arlington, Texas, which means his parents aren't around. So he's got like no parents. He's got like, second generation parenting. He was bullied, which is consistent with anyone who escalates to this sort of violence. That there's a history of bullying. And again, I'm not going to say what his cousin, said or so basically. So all this stuff is all hearsay. So 9/15, he went in and apparently was getting robbed at school. So rather than he didn't feel. Listen, again, the victims here are, it's awful. And, what we try to do is at least try to look at this in a way where it could have been prevented every time. I don't know if this kid reported the robberies at school. I don't know if this kid told anybody about it. I don't know how, again, he gets access to, obviously he gets access to a 45 and he's a minor. So how the gun is being stored is not responsible gun ownership. He fled the scene in a 2018 Dodge Charger, which is a new car relatively, and he's 15, and I don't think you can drive in Texas till you're 16. So he figured that out. So I'm feeling that, given the fact that he's raised by his grandmother, given the fact that he's really not talking to anybody, he doesn't have, he's not getting a shit ton of supervision.
Yeah.
Where do you get the car? I mean, is that his grandmother's? Is that, I don't know.
Grandma's gun, grandma's charger. That's awesome.
Yeah, grandma's, badass.
That's right.
But, I mean, he was going to school. He was going to graduate. Obviously the victims, holy shit. And I also feel for this kid, which again, he's not a key. He never had a chance to be equipped to even handle the shit he was dealt with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't, he can't, obviously can't talk to his grandmother. His cousin, these people that are coming out that say they knew him. Yeah, I don't understand, how, especially with the, HIV harassment and bullying, rules in high schools now. I mean, it's, if you say anything, look anything, a joke, anything, I mean, it's reported, it's written up, it's very, very, taken like, oh my God, the National Guard comes in, right?
Yeah.
So this kid's like getting robbed. What the hell's going on? I mean, I don't know. There's so much more, here, that, that we don't know. And that, there's questions that need to be answered. I'm like, has this ever been reported before? Did anybody witness the robberies? Did any kids hear about it? Did any teachers, because there's some times where it's like, you'll report it and then nothing will happen.
Yeah, it just slips through the cracks, so to speak.
Right. I mean, it's like, it's paperwork, it's more work. There's nothing worse than telling somebody, to do something that's outside the purview of their job. There's a lot of people and there's good teachers and bad teachers. There's people that give a shit and people that just want to go do exactly and only what they're supposed to do and then leave and not deal with anything. So if a kid's having a problem and I'm supposed to report it and I just kind of just pat it and just, it's just shit that I just don't want to deal with, fine. I don't know. There needs to be people held accountable beyond this child.
Yeah.
Like, the grandmother, how's he get the gun? How's he get the car? What are you doing? I mean, the parents obviously, nowhere to be found. I don't know. I don't know what their story is, even if they're still on the planet. So, I mean, there's like, someone doesn't just wake up, and this is general, this is known. I do the, I've done several training courses, one with, Lieutenant Colonel Grossman,
Yep.
About the active shooter. There's like I mean, being bullied, having access to weapons, planning. I mean, all these are common traits of everyone who does this stuff. Everyone. And it's like, while we see these, there are dozens, if not hundreds, that get caught every year by people paying attention. So, this isn't, we got to dig, we got to pay attention.
Yeah.
And continue to pay attention. It's like, with my kids, especially, I've got a son, who's, popular, And I'm like, dude, I go I'm like, please, I'm like, make sure you say hello to pretty much everybody.
Yep.
I'm like, just like little shit like that. And I'm like, don't, because you don't know, I mean, it's so growing up is so freaking can be so hard, and everything. I had a daughter, I have a daughter, and I've got a son, so I understand, and they're both pretty much what you would expect. Like my son's into sports, my daughter's into theater, and they're both academic, and they're 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 pretty unpredictable. So I mean, it's like I you just know what the hell they're up to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, within the scope. I mean, please, it's like, so when you're I know a lot of people aren't experiencing that. I mean, this is like, I mean, so yeah, I mean, is it? I mean, the stuff is it all? I mean, I know we want to say this stuff is preventable and like gun control and all the other shit. I'm like, it's got little or nothing to do with that.
That's right.
I mean, because it's not just because the gun is there. I mean, this person's kid's ever going to do that. I mean, the kid will figure something out. Either he doesn't harm this kid or he harms himself.
Yeah.
Either way, someone's probably going to die. Yeah. So, I mean, there's other things at play here rather than the knee jerk gun control crap. Because, again, like we talked about this, I mean, you could spend a year on it. Fact is, you look at what's happening in Australia now with COVID and lockdowns and things like that, and how the freedoms are being handled. I'm like, you ain't gonna really pull that shit here. Yeah. We're armed, and there's a reason for that, to keep, the people in power in check. So, I never thought that as much as I do today. And look, if you want to get a firearm and you can get one quite readily illegally. I can get heroin off of Craigslist like in an hour.
Yeah.
So, and heroin's got to be grown someplace else. I can make guns in my garage with a milling machine. So, and for for like a minimal amount of product cost. I mean, the upfront cost, but you can make this shit. So, and then you can make whatever you want. So the harder you look at the war on drugs is a failure. The war on, the gun control, is an illusion. When I say that, I'm like, you can put all the laws you want, and all you're doing is restricting the people who obey the law.
That's right.
And the people who break the law, who, happen, who are male, a large portion of them are minorities. So these are the ones that are actually paying the price for your gun laws. While you see a school shooting and you want to stop a school shooting, what you're doing is tacking another 10, 15 years on a kid who's, pulling armed robbery.
Yep.
Or who gets caught with an illegal handgun. So, you really, the ends don't justify the means. So, yeah, man, on that, I don't know, this is always going to continue to happen in one way or another.
Yeah, it is.
And, I mean, look, in a perfect world, everybody would have two parents. Everybody would have someone around them paying attention and giving a shit. A coach, a teacher, a priest, a rabbi, whatever. Yeah. Someone in their lives, a neighbor, I don't know, that is like, hey, taking somebody under their wing and, just mentoring them with good intentions.
Yep.
right? So, yeah, man.
I mean, do they even still have those big brother, big sister organizations? I haven't heard shit about that in
I don't
years.
know. We used to do it in college as part of our community service. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Um, it's just like because I mean that's where that was that's the real with the lockdowns and stuff like that. I'm like, if these kids they're coming from like tough homes, where the only escape was like practice
Yeah,
and school. School is the only place where I got fed, where someone gave a shit about me. I mean, there's some kids who just literally dropped off the radar because the parents, they're not an English speaking first household.
yeah.
Parents or parent, whoever's in charge, just isn't, getting emails or not getting any communications. Kids like leaving to go to school is like there's no school, it's canceled. They don't really have internet access. So these kids have like spent like years off the grid. It's nuts, and nobody, is really, people are talking about it, but nobody's really addressing it. And we don't know what's going to happen, the ramification of this until the next year or two, when you're looking at test scores and things like that, and the kids that have just been lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, kids like this and situations like this, have been going on, and will continue to go on in every culture. And it's like people think it's like uniquely, the West, and no, I mean, kids kill other kids or kill themselves, and they do it because there's they can't handle what's put in front of them, and they lack the skill set to handle it, or there's a mental illness there. I don't know, but these are the things we really need to talk about more, other than the knee-jerk reaction. Well, if he didn't have a gun, he'd probably hang himself.
Yeah.
Bring
a fucking bat in or whatever.
Right. And I know there's people that'd be arguing, well, it'd be better if he hung himself and shot the other kid. I go, yeah, but that's not solving the problem. Right. So I don't know. It's just, I mean, having kids and being around and having coach kids and things like that. I mean, I know, every interaction is, you're leaving an impression on that person, and like their lives. If you look at it, like if you got a 15-year-old kid, if 2 years of your life suck, that's like shit. That's like almost 20%.
Yeah.
Right? That's like 15% of your life sucked. That's not like 2 years of like a 50-year-old's life.
That's right.
Right? It's like, fuck it, I got more, right? I mean, right there, it's like, that's like everything. And then you think that's going to be your life. That's how your life's going to be moving forward. I mean, as an adult, you're like, no, dude, you go through some shit. Then you just, whatever. Next.
Yeah, well, you think about fucking kids getting bullied at 5, 6, 7 years through all of elementary school into high school. Now you're talking about 7, 8, 9 years out of a 13 or 14-year-old or 15-year-old kid's life. I mean, that's pretty fucking substantial.
Yeah. And it still affects them. I know people that were bullied in middle school and high school, and then even just still dealing with it as an adult. I mean, a lot of people we've trained, that's their experience.
Yep.
And learning how to cope with it and fight with it. I'm like, there's like there's a positive way to handle bullying if you have the right infrastructure, if you have the right support system and guidance, because there's always going to be somebody that's going to try to impose their will on you, whether it's through work, actually, bullying or something. And you're going to have to stand up for what you believe in. I mean, that's a reality. There's always going to be somebody that's going to try to take something from you because someone figures out, hey, you know what, if I just go and just take this, they ain't going to do shit. And I get it without working for it.
Yep.
So there's always going to be those people, and you're going to cross paths with them, and you're going to have to understand how to deal with them. And it's not easy, and it's a scary, scary thing. Man, I remember, dealing with some kids, and I literally, there were times I get in a fight with a kid at school. One kid kicked his ass. He was picking on one of my buddies. He was a grade older than me, had a reputation of being a badass. Okay. We were on the baseball field waiting for practice. I just double leg takedown and fucking bang, bang, bang. He cried. He stepped. He went home. I remember going, and I won, and I was going to school concerned about him. And he started he was waiting for me after school. So I'm like, okay, I better go out. And he remember he kind of threw a kickball at me, and then I just looked at him like, what? Let's go. And then he just kind of laughed and walked away. So that was the extent of it, and it ended there. But yeah.
And when we were younger, I mean, you talk about shit happening at school, it stayed within the school, or maybe just after. But now, thanks to the fucking internet and everything, you've got people being bullied 24 hours a day, 7 days a fucking week now.
Yeah, it's so different, man. Oh my God. Yeah, it is entirely insanely different.
Yeah.
It's so sticky. And I'm glad my kids, they're on social media, but they're not. Especially now my daughter's aging out of it. She's going to be 20 this year. And my son's 16, but he'll do some stuff, but he's we're he'll whatever. I mean, most of the stuff they're doing is on Snapchat, and that's with people that they do know. Not that that's better, but it's not as public, I guess. I don't know. And they're just not, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing especially if they're going through that middle school time, and you make it through sophomore year in high school, as and you're okay. Chances are you're gonna be fine, right? I mean, because that's where they're experimenting with drugs and alcohol. They're figuring out what's going on, kind of sexually, and and I'm I told my guys, look, I know this shit happens. I mean, okay, so there's a couple of things I did as a parent which I thought worked, which I'll share. One, on their birthday, ever since they were little, I gave them one swear word. So, part of the gift, I gave them one swear word.
What was it, little 6 years old eating the fucking cake? You're a cunt.
Yeah, I'm it was every year they could talk. I'm look, man, I'm gonna give you one swear word. And then my son, when he was around 10, I started using compound words, and he's like, you can't. I go, motherfucker's a word. But what that kind of did, it kind of allowed them to talk to us. Angela had nothing to do with it. She didn't want anything to do with it. That was my thing. And then the other thing we do is when we'd be away, I'm hey, dude, want a drink? My daughter, when she first started drinking, when she first started going out, I should say drinking, but well, she was going out. She was in ninth grade. I'm I made her, first off, I took her out on a date, one, and showed her how she should have been treated. She should be treated, coming to the door, opening up the door, ordering for her, the chair, the door. That's just how I am. I go, these are the expectations that you should have, and then gauge, what this guy does, right? How they come, how they present themselves. So one, two, same thing with my son. I didn't take him out on a date. I made him take his mom. So, or it could have not, again, not that there's anything wrong with that. So, yeah. So my daughter, I made her a watermelon mojito. Mm-hmm. I'm this is how alcohol will present itself to you, right? It's not going to come. I'm not going to give you my old man angry bourbon.
That's right.
I know you're not going to drink beer, and the kids really don't even drink soda. So, the cover. I go, this is going to taste great. I go, 2 of these, you're on your ass because you're like 110 pounds.
Yep.
So
you give it to, right?
Right. I'm like, understand. I go, after that, I go, I mean, no means no, but I go, you're going to be like a fucking puppet.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, this is how it is. And so the same thing with my meathead son. And I also would, like, we'd be out, we'd be on vacation. I'd allow them to drink to see how they handle it.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, if he's like, if he's in front of me, biting the bottom off a beer can and shotgunning like 6 beers, I'm like, bro, we need to get you into a program. Like,
yeah, that's right.
But if you're drinking like 4 or 5 Mike's Hard Lemonade over the course of like an evening, and I can look at you and see how you're acting, and you're not throwing up on yourself, you're not stumbling, you're not falling, I'm like, okay, this is how I have an idea. It's not exact, but at least I have an idea what the relationship is with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about, pot and smoking. I'm like, it's legal now. I go, I'll be honest. I'm like, I'd rather them even, more smoke than drink, to be honest. Yeah. It's like, there's less physiological shit that happens to you when you're smoking than drinking. So, I mean, we've got a rapport with this stuff. Again, we're in a 2-parent household, both of us are present. So, when there's times like, with Mike, with, our kids, it's just all at the end of the day, I'm like, look, I want you happy, but I also want you to be able to, handle challenges that are put in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, coming from an area where there's a lot of money, people have a tendency to throw money at the problem and transfer kids and put them in different schools and things like that. The problem is, like, these kids, they don't get the skill set. There's a time to do that, and there's a time to like let them figure it out. Mm-hmm. Figure it out is this phrase that comes out in our house quite often. You're just like, dude, I don't know, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Dude, you got YouTube, you got this, you got that. I go, you're holy shit. Don't ask, you're asking me. I mean, there's times for the father and son moment, father and daughter moment, but then there's also times where it's like, okay, dude, like my daughter's out in California. She's living off campus with a group of people. I'm like, something goes wrong. I'm like, you need to call the superintendent. I mean, you need to call the super, you need to call maintenance. You need to, do these things. You can't have your mom doing it for you.
Yeah.
Now. I'm like, because that's just one more thing. And she's like, oh, there's a lot of work. I'm like, yeah, dude, this is how this is how the sausage is made.
That's right. You now have a relationship with Google. Enjoy it.
Right. Right. I'm like, we're not there. You wanted to go here. This is the school you wanted. This is your dream school. This is why, great. We support you. But there's some realities of that. It's like you're on your own with a lot of shit. So, having them, just figure it out, man. And then the rest, it'll work out. I go, no one's going to die. But along the way, you'll get that skill set and understand that process of fucking, okay, I don't know how this is done. Get out of my comfort zone. Okay, fail. Okay, fix it.
Yep.
Or it can't be fixed. That happens a lot too, more times than you think. So, yeah, man, I don't know. We covered a lot, but all good stuff.
We did. We went from bisexual Superman to how to parent.
Yes. How to parent bisexual Superman. Lois. So anyway, all right, my friend. On that bombshell, I leave you. Thank everybody for coming to the podcast. We'll post this, and we should be on for next week as well. We'll get a couple announcements out to the right group this time. So until next time, train honestly.